Okay, so now we're at the end of the war, end of World War I, right? So it's been a year that the United States has been in war. Now it's 1918, and Germany is starting to begin their surrender. Now Woodrow Wilson, before the war is over, Woodrow Wilson proposes peace. And there are 14 points on his peace treaty that he, again, proposes. He wants to make the world safe for democracy, right? To spread democracy. So he calls for, one, the freedom of the seas, because remember, that's one of the main reasons why the United States got involved in World War I was because German unrestricted submarine warfare. Now the next one is going to be the reduction of armaments, which are weapons, right? Remember, militarism is also what got us into World War I, or why World War I began. So what he wanted to do was to limit the amount of weapons each country has. The next one is the removal of trade barriers to make everyone whole and we can trade with anybody. The end of secret diplomacy, or your alliances, that secret friendships that they created. And the last one would be the creation of a League of Nations. All right, the League of Nations. Now, when they came up with the policy as to what was going to happen after the war, and this would be between Great Britain, France, Italy, right, and of course the United States, we're going to only pick up one of these things, and that's the League of Nations. So the war ends. Germany surrenders on the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour, which is also known as Veterans Day, right? November 11th, which is going to be on Tuesday, okay? And the Treaty of Versailles is created. This is the official end of the war. Now, the Allies wanted a harsh treatment on Germany that would make them pay for the war. That's known as reparations. Reparations. Now, Germany lost territory, and Poland was created. Austria-Hungary and Turkey were separated into new states, and Germany lost their navy. Their army was reduced. They were forced to accept the blame. That's known as the War Guilt Clause. And they were required to pay reparations, right? Reparations. They had to repay for the damages that they caused during World War I. And then the League of Nations was created, okay? And this League of Nations was created to keep another world war from happening. So people or representatives from each country were allowed to take part of the League of Nations, and if you had any kind of disagreement or question or concern about something, you would bring it up at the League of Nations meetings instead of, attacking another country. And this was supposed to be created to prevent another world war from happening. Now, the United States rejects us getting into the League of Nations, right? So the United States, even though Woodrow Wilson created the League of Nations, or that was his idea, the United States did not join the League of Nations. We did not join. It says Wilson hoped the United States would join the League of Nations to prevent further wars. The opposition, why did we reject it? It would drag us into unnecessary military commitments, meaning we're going to be dragged into another war when it is not our war to fight. Now, Henry Cabot Lodge is a senator who strongly does not want to join the League of Nations. He was a supporter of imperialism, and he believed that if the United States would join the League of Nations, it would lose its freedom of action, meaning we would have to ask other countries for permission to do things before we actually did them, which takes away our freedom to do so. So the United States goes into this idea of, or policy of, isolationism. And just think of the word isolation. Isolation is you by yourself, right? So that's how we were. World War II brought little gain to the United States, to ourselves. So the belief of isolationism is separating ourselves from other countries. So all the mishaps and the depression that they're going to go into, the United States is not affected by that. We end up raising our tariffs, so that way anybody wanting to trade with us, then they're going to have to pay more to the United States. We restricted European immigration, and we rejected the Treaty of Versailles. These are a couple of reasons on how and why we were isolated. Okay, if you have any questions, you let me know.